told me last time. Whatever. I see Mashty. Yeah, I think it was a bridge. It's been just over the years. Tell me. I heard that. Actually, it's not really if you look at it. Yeah. What is that? Yeah.
Just remind everybody to turn your microphones on. If you haven't, just the slide switch goes to the minus side. All right, we will call this meeting of the Jefferson County Development Authority to order. Today is Tuesday, June 16th, 2026. First, I will welcome our two newest members that are with us today, Kim Moss and Zach Amato. So welcome to the team, guys. They were appointed by the county commission at their last regularly scheduled meeting. I think you're both, no, you're serving a partial term that ends in 28, I think, Mr. Amato. And I believe Ms. Moss, you're serving a term that expires, a full 3-year term expiring in 29. So welcome to the team. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
So now we will do a roll call to determine our quorum of members, and we will start with Mr. Amato.
Here.
Here. Ms. Bowserman is online. Can you hear me?
Here, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Goodrich.
Present.
Mr. Lutman. I don't see Mr. Lutman present. Mr. Majdi.
Present.
Is present. Ms. McIntyre. She's not present yet. I will say she's just sent me a message telling me she's on her way, so we'll expect to see her part way through. Ms. Moss.
Here.
Ms. Skinner.
I'm back.
Mr. Tumalo.
Present.
Ms. Upson. Don't see Ms. Upson present. I've not heard from her today. And Mr. Wilt, I am here.
I think Dave and Jill are going to join.
Sometime.
Yeah, I think they're trying to join now.
Okay, very good. You might just let them know that the email had both a Teams link in it, and then later it had a Zoom link, and they'll want to use the Zoom link if anybody
you-
has communication.
Can staff communicate that to board members, Jill Upson and Dave Lutman? Make sure they have the right link. It's the Zoom link. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Thanks.
All right, so we do have a quorum present. In
Dave's
your
on.
packet, Mr. Lutman, give him just a second. And Miss Upson just sent a message saying she's on the Teams link.
I don't know if I got the Zoom email.
It's all the same email.
Point of order. I request that every vote taken at this meeting have every commissioner's name and the way they vote recorded in the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Stein. All right, so let's see if Mr. Lutman,
I'm present. The Teams link doesn't seem to work, but the Zoom link does.
okay, yeah, I think we were working through that. So you're present with us. You can hear us and be heard. And
I forwarded Jill the Zoom link.
okay, thank you, Mara. We'll let you know when she's online. Okay, so in your packets, we have 2 sets of minutes. First, so we'll look at the minutes from the May 19th, 2026 meeting. Have the members had a chance to review those minutes? Any corrections, alterations?
Hey, there's a Zoom link Mara just sent to you. Bye.
None? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved by Ms. Skinner, second by Mr. Goodrich to approve the minutes for the May 19th meeting as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we'll look at the May 29th special meeting minutes. That was a strategic planning workshop. Members have had a chance to review those.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Tumalo, second by Mr. Goodrich to approve the May 29th, 2026 minutes as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I do see Ms. Upson has joined us online. You can hear us, Ms. Upson?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you all hear me?
We sure can.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right. We'll now look at the item 4, the treasurer's report. Mr. Goodrich.
Thank you. Included in the packet and just a couple of updates here from what we've been speaking about in prior months, summarizing it into 4 categories. We still have lot 36 and the disposition of either sell it outright, land lease for a development partnership, or the JCDA develop it. And we've used funds from grants to be able to understand the cost benefit analysis if we were to develop it. So that is an angle that we're not undertaking, at least the development. So we still have the sell or the land lease. The other item is that we've discussed over the past months. A new business initiative would be a new business park. Where do we go after we sell the final lot? What are the other initiatives that we need to do? We still have owing on us the West Virginia ADA accrued interest of $825,000, and then the grant funds that were transferred to the commission from us, and those grant funds are going to be expiring December 1st if they're unused. So those are more 4 placeholders for the Development Authority to keep in mind. The next item we're going to have is for fiscal year 2027, the budget for the JCDA. Some items, as you know, the way that payroll expenses and in-kind expenses, those are flowing to the commission and no longer to the JCDA. So we're going to need to adjust the budget accordingly to those expenses. And we have a meeting, preliminary meeting, June the 30th at 3 to discuss that information, to then propose that for the fiscal year 27. And then finally, we're getting ready to wrap up the fiscal year 26 audit. So we're going to have a further discussion with our accounting firm to talk about that and be ready for the audit in full. So giving the board some forward-looking information as to financial activities that are happening down the road. On the bottom, I place some out of office, at least for myself, subject to change. Any questions on just those bring to dates and some forward-looking items before I dive into the summary of financials? Nope. All right, going into financials, really, I would call this another month at non-material reductions in our expenses because there's been relatively little activity on our income statement. Our balance sheet stays pretty much the same in terms of activity. The balances that we have in our insured cash sweep, which is our funds held at our bank, are now 900,000 roughly. From $1 million, that drop of 100,000 has been used for other expenses. The May period income statement versus budget, we're tracking on budget with a net operating income at the end of the year to date, May, of 770,000, and that is due to the gain on sale. So when we sold the last lot, we sold it for more than what it cost us. So we have been able to have additional income of 70,000. And finally, a note for the fiscal year 27 budget, the in-kind rent will be removed from our operating statement, employee benefits and payroll, because those have all transferred to the commission on the payroll. So very little to report for the month of May, very little to report year to date, and no anomalies identified between our last analysis and prior months. Any questions on the financial? And then the only other item, we had the minutes for the strategic planning session. That's in keeping with our initiative as a board, and other items here for us to think about going forward in unison with the strategic plan. That's all my report, Mr. President. Over to you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the members? All right, we'll move to public comment. I have 7 people signed up. We normally limit public comment to 10 minutes, but we'd be at about 14. If there's no objection from the group, we'll give every speaker 2 minutes and let that 14-minute clock go.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, so our first person that has signed up, Diane Blust. You might need to
Turn it
slide
on.
the little button.
It should light up green.
There, okay.
Wonderful,
Okay.
thank you.
Hi, I'm Diane Blust. I am a resident of Jefferson County, and I just wanted to make 2 points. I'm pretty disappointed that you all didn't do what seems to me, from reading the press coverage and everything about this, a full court press to try to work with CTUB, which is, as you know, our public utility, subject to all the rules and regulations that public entities are subject to, rather than going with West Virginia American Water, which is a private utility. Just looking at the differences in the rates, it's going to put our county residents at serious financial disadvantage if you go with West Virginia Water for the Summit Point project. The other thing that I wanted to say was, I looked through the agenda and I couldn't find any details on the USDA grant resolution. So I would suggest that this is not properly noticed to the public, and you may wish to table that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Sue Ellen Myers.
Sue Ellen Myers. I'm from Jefferson County. We farm at the junction. I too am really disappointed that y'all would decide to go with West Virginia American Water when everything I have read, CTUB has never said that they were unwilling to provide service. And I don't understand why y'all wouldn't want to work with that entity, particularly since West Virginia American Water is not subject to so many of the regulations that a public utility is. They already charge in the neighborhood of at least twice as much for the same amount of water that CTUB does. In addition, their water, if they do this, their water is coming from groundwater, and it's not going back into the ground. It would be going into, I presume, the Shenandoah. CTUB is using river water. It comes from the river, it gets used, it gets cleaned, it goes back to the river. They're not using a bazillion gallons of water and transporting it miles from where it comes up with the wells, which are there more or less around Fox Glen. The only thing I can see that benefits anybody is it benefits American Water. And I find that really disappointing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Rebecca Bliss.
I'm Rebecca Phipps, PH as in Phipps. Humor. Okay, thank you. I'm Becky Phipps. I live in Shepherdstown. I've been there for 25 years. This whole American Water thing is a huge mistake on your part that you're even considering contracting out the water resources of one. You let them in one spot. It's over for the county. Everybody knows that where American Water has been allowed in and to take over this or that municipal system in anywhere in West Virginia, those folks have the highest water bills, among the highest water bills in the country. And that includes out west where there's really no water. You could be the first to say no to West Virginia's status as always having been a feudal state for the rest of the country to take advantage of, where the resources leave and the people who live in no place more beautiful, West Virginia, get nothing in return. Don't let water be the new coal for state of West Virginia. Do not move forward with this American Water thing. It would be a huge mistake on your part.
Thank you. Next, we have Jacob White.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob Light, a resident of Ranson, and I'm speaking on behalf of Jefferson County Foundation today. Please table and do not consider Agenda Item 7C because it has been improperly noticed on the agenda. The Open Meetings Act requires that agendas give reasonable notice to the public of what will be discussed. On the West Virginia Ethics Commission's website, they have a Q&A regarding the Open Meetings Act, and it literally states, how specific must an agenda be? The answer is agendas must give reasonable notice to the public of what issues will be discussed. Item 7C for today's meeting reads, Summit Point Water and Sewer Approval and Signature of USDA Grant Resolution and Supporting Documents, Authorize Director to Execute and Submit. From this, we cannot tell if the grant has been awarded and you're accepting the grant, or if you are just applying for the grant. We cannot tell what the grant will be used for. For example, will it be used to build a water line for American Water? Will it be used to build a package plant? Will it be used for data centers? Will it be used for the racetrack? Will it be used to supply the homes in Summit Point? Very importantly, we also don't know what the JCDA would be required to do for the grant. For example, does the grant require the JCDA to provide matching funds? Does the grant require the JCDA to run a utility? None of this can be determined from the agenda and packet. The public does not have a reasonable understanding of what is being discussed or considered for the approval, and therefore we ask that the agenda item be tabled until it can be properly noticed. Thank you for the time to speak.
Thank you. Next, we have Christine Marshall.
I'd like to ask that any member of the board recuse themselves that would be directly associated with West Virginia American Water and grants, or any votes that would benefit any member of the board directly or indirectly, as that would be a conflict of interest, or at least give the appearance of a conflict of interest, and that should be avoided. I briefly, please keep water and sewer in the hands of Charlestown Utilities and the Charlestown Utility Board, and not in a private for-profit entity. And I also agree that this agenda item was improperly noticed and should be tabled until it's placed on the agenda in a way that is more appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Two more. We have Christine Weimer next.
My name is Christine Weimer. First, excuse me, as of 2 hours ago, 5 members of the public commented to the foundation. Our understanding from talking with several of you on the board that many of those emails did not get through security settings. This is not acceptable, nor is it to, does not matter that those need to be read, and many of them are adjusted, and some of them are form letters. We need to remember that those of us are here because we have the privilege of these. There are many people who cannot make it. The mission of the foundation to lower the bar of participating. One of the ways that we do this, by a portal on our website. That portal has only been active for just 24 hours. I think up to you that 65 people in just 24 hours sought to make their. And it is frustrating that those are not getting through. Work in the previous director worked hard. Problem within the day that it happened, the members of the board were able to comments. I have read the comments. All of them that I saw are against you considering 7C today and are against you working with American Water. I would like to reiterate the comments that were said. I don't want you to consider 7C because it was not properly noticed and comments from the public that couldn't be here today. Also like you to reject it because it's working with American Water. We would like not necessary, nor is it good for business for you to work with American Water. Think of all of the business.
Dr. Weimer, your 2 minutes is up. Thank you.
Whose wells are relying on groundwater. I refuse to serve.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Stein.
My name is Colin Stein. I live at 7633 Flowing Springs Road. I attended the Ranson City Council meeting whenever it was last week, or maybe it was this week. The attorney at that, their attorney stated that the proposal was so vague that he could not determine whether it was legal or illegal. He recommended tabling anything to do with the Summit Point water stuff. The city council then voted to table it. I suggest you follow their suggestion. As a point of order, I asked for every name of the commission members and their votes to be determined. The reason for that is because as the proposal as currently written or as I currently understand it violates my property rights. It also violates the property rights of other farmers in the northern county. It violates the property rights of people in Shepherdstown, Harpers Ferry, and Summit Point. Therefore, what's the crime that we're talking about? The crime is theft. They are taking our property rights without compensating us. All those who vote in favor of this proposal, it can be argued that you are aiding and abetting the crime of theft. My property rights started in 1732 when Edward Lucas got his deed from Lord Fairfax. My family became the owners of those property rights in 1949. Again, the proposal is currently written
Your 2 minutes is up.
violates
Thank you.
my property rights. I suggest that you not violate my property rights and vote this down.
Thank you, Mr. Stein. That concludes our public comment period. We'll now move to old business. And we'll start with item A, which is the Yes WV Ready Site Grant. Execute memorandum of MOA. Staff.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. As you guys know, the JCDA applied for a couple site-ready grants from the state of West Virginia earlier in the year, maybe the end of last year, but they were awarded some time ago. And there's two of the old letters in your packet from the governor's office where they awarded two $75,000 site-ready grants. One for a lot in the business park that we still own and control, and the other one for an orchard site not too far away. But those, we've picked the ball up for those yes-ready site grants. And we've talked with the Kayla from the County Commission's Office of Grants, and we have two MOAs once after dealing with or talking with the State Development Office. They've sent up two small documents, but what we need to do is authorize the executive director to execute those little agreements, the MOAs, and for the state development site, West Virginia site-ready grants of $75,000. The state is holding that $150,000, and you have in your packet too, the guide document that outlines the things we could spend that money on. So as we talked earlier in the week, the clock starts once we execute the MOA agreements, and we need to spend the money in accordance with that guidance document and get reimbursed from the state of West Virginia for the money they're holding. But the first item of business is to execute the MOAs that they've sent up.
Okay, we've heard the report. I think Daryl and I had a conversation about this last week. I think as you heard, there's a 1-year clock that kind of starts once we sign these documents. We've had some discussion about Lot 36, and obviously Jefferson Orchard is not within our control, or the remaining parts of the Jefferson Orchard property. So I think time will be of the essence to figure out what we can use these funds for, what we would use these funds for. I think a few of you participated in the interview process when we went through the vetting piece with the state. The state hired a contractor to basically evaluate all the sites before they made these awards. And I'll say the review team complimented our community on how well put together these sites were and how ready they were for development. They noted that of all the sites they looked at across the state, we had some of the best sites that were ready to go. So I think there's real advantage to us in that way. But I think it will take us determining what we want to do with these things. And so many of the decisions we make kind of come at a snail's pace. So I am a little concerned that once we sign this, that year clock starts. It takes us 3 or 4 months to make some sort of decision. It takes a month or two to procure, really begin to run up against that year clock in a hurry. But we certainly, as the director noted, we've won these awards, and this is really the acceptance piece of them. So if there's no objection, we'll sign them. But we do need to kind of figure out what we're doing, particularly with Lot 36 in the near term.
2 items, Mr. President. If it's awarded, we accept it and say the clock does run out. There's no harm not having spent the money. Actually, I think it's a very prudent action because we don't spend money willy-nilly, but we do it for a purpose. So actually, I think not spending it actually bode well, number one. And then number two, maybe later in time, once we get the green light, maybe we just structure a smaller committee that can execute on it, outside of our regular meetings and report back, so that at least we can accelerate the due diligence or the possibility of doing projects in Lot 36 or the Orchard. Maybe that could be a way to slice this.
Very good. Other thoughts?
But I would be in favor of proceeding.
Yeah, I think we would probably need to establish a committee or a task force with a sunset date to meet probably regularly if we have a year-long basis.
Okay. Director, is there a time frame on when, we need to execute today? Do we need to execute by the end of the month, by the end of the fiscal year?
No, it's open. There wasn't an urgency other than the fact that it has been awarded and it is earmarked and sitting there waiting for our use. And the quicker we get these sites closer to site ready, I think they become more marketable when we do spend that money in a prudent manner. So, but to answer your question, there's no expiring clock or diminishing clock right now for when we execute the MOA.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, I think overall this is great. I don't, the clock issue is something I hadn't thought about. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know what the right answer is, but certainly willing to listen to guidance on that. But I just want to say this is exactly what a development authority should be doing. This is good work, and I think we're taking an important step forward. I'm in favor of the concept generally with openness to starting or stopping maybe a few weeks from now if folks think that's advantageous. Not stopping, but starting a few weeks from now. Director Coles, do you think it would help if we were to wait 4 weeks to sign it, or if we should sign it in 2 weeks, or sign it today, or no opinion?
Yeah, my opinion would be we're ready now. I think you are right that, the list of the things you could spend it on, a phase 1 environmental or a geotech and assessment, the wetlands delineation, maybe in some site grading. Those kind of things are pretty wide open. But you're right, if we entered the agreement and started the clock, I think a small group or a task force or a subcommittee could probably make some pretty good decisions about things you could do on both of those lots quite easily. Procure an engineer, put out an RFP, do the work, spend the money, and get reimbursed by the state, all within that year calendar.
Okay. So then can you make a note, we accept these for our next meeting to have that as an agenda item, creation of that committee working group, and we'll put that together accordingly.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Can I ask for just
Yep.
some clarification?
Sure.
There's 2 different grants here, each for $75,000, correct?
Correct.
And I get the lot 36 one, that one's kind of self-explanatory. The Jefferson Orchards one, that's land that we don't own, isn't that correct?
That is right. They
And
have,
didn't we, it's been a while, so I'm trying to remember exactly what happened here. But we paid for
We
a
authorize.
study, we authorized for a study of like
Some geotechnical work.
exactly. Thank you
Right.
for helping my brain work here, because
Yeah.
it's been like
So,
a long
can I
time.
just go ahead and I'll add here,
Please
because
take
I
it
think it'll
away.
help fill in the gaps. So we had authorized to participate or fund some geotechnical work for a group that was looking at purchasing some of that property
Mhm.
to build a facility on.
Correct.
One of the requirements that we made in agreeing to that work was that we wanted that analysis to cover the entirety of the site and not just specific to the
To theirs.
plot that they were seeking. We didn't hear anything for a long time, and then I think about 2 weeks ago, we got both the bill and the report.
we did, sir.
Okay, so we've not paid that yet. That's actually in the payables for this month. That's correct?
That's right. I have a
Okay.
copy of the invoice and it apparently came in under budget from what you guys had earmarked available.
Like 15,000, and I think we had expended up to 22.5, I think.
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah,
Right, I think,
so,
right.
so we are now in possession of both that report and the bill.
And-
But I think if I see where you're going, I think that work was agreed to and incurred prior to this award date, so I'm not sure it would be fundable through this.
We did ask and no work can be started until after the MOA is executed to qualify for reimbursement. So you're right.
But we do have that deliverable. And I think it only makes, this property more marketable, right? Because not only do we have, access for some potential business of this money, this site ready money, but now we have some geotechnical reporting that, obviously has value as well and, could be the determining piece for some future purchaser.
Okay.
Does that answer your questions?
It does. I mean, I just don't want to spend another $75,000 making land ready that we don't own. I mean.
Yeah. And I think we asked some questions when we applied for this
Mhm.
grant respective to that, if I recall that correctly. And it was along the lines of it's one more piece one more tool that makes it more valuable for somebody and may be the determining factor for us getting some sort of development opportunity going on that parcel.
Okay.
But, I think it has to flow through the development authority, so it's nothing that the property owner can take and move on their own, right? It takes a partnership and working together to make that happen.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no other comments, I'll go ahead and make motion.
Okay.
Move to execute the memorandum of agreement and authorize the Director Coles to sign it.
I'll second.
Majdi moves, Tumalo seconds to move forward with acceptance of the West Virginia Site Ready Grant Awards and authorize the director to execute documentation as necessary. Any discussion, amendments? Anybody online? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed, motion passes. All right, item B, Bardane and Burr Parks Property Owners Association update. Staff?
Yes, sir. As the board knows, the Burr Bardane Park is actually three separate parks. Over the decades that you guys have put together the Burr Industrial Park, the Burr Business Park, and the Bardane Industrial Park. And it's those three parks that this board some time ago said we need to transfer the ownership and management of those parks from JCDA, the developer, to the Property Owners Association as was designed when they were put together. So we've been working on that for some time. It was a project that was started before I got here, but we've hosted 2 informational organizational meetings where we invited the property owners to come and be a part of it, provided draft bylaws prepared by our council, and provided some counsel to them of what the current law is and how they might organize, and gave them organizational help like background and budget information, grass mowing cost for the JCDA over the years, and a spreadsheet, which is a list of the owners and their contact information, along with hard copies of maps and links to the county GIS interactive maps. So that's where we've been, and where we are today is we're still working on a drop dead date of soon, July 1st, of asking them to get organized in their Property Owners Association and start managing and controlling the regular upkeep and maintenance of the mature business park that we developed. So we did get a letter. It's in your packet. There has been some progress, but there's a letter in your packet from Steptoe. I think they've talked to a lawyer, and they have the property owners, at least a group of some property owners have talked to a lawyer and have some continuing concerns about how that might impact them and what they might do. But our counsel's here, and he probably has more to offer on it, but it is a soft letter and is not threatening in any way, but I think shares their concerns. And maybe the concern is as much on the timeline as it is to understanding what it is they need to do and what course of action they need to take. But that's the general update from my office, Mr. President, but council's here can probably add more to that for you too.
Mr. Rohrbaugh?
Yes. I think what they're chiefly after is they're seeking more time to get themselves organized and start assessing the maintenance fees and collecting them. They also seem to want the development authority to somehow take the lead in all 3 of these property owners associations. In 2 of the parks, the development authority does not own any lots whatsoever. So I don't think it's really, we technically are not members, so we cannot be part of the the leadership of that property owners, of those two property owners associations. The third, where we do still own a lot, which is the Borough Business Park. We're in the process of trying to divest ourselves of that particular lot. So I don't think it makes a lot of sense for the Development Authority to take the leadership of that particular property owners association. They also mentioned in the letter that they would like to, the roads that have not already been taken over by the West Virginia Department of Highways, they would like for that to happen to the remaining roads, which I think are 3. We don't have any control over that. Certainly we can, make the request of the Department of Highways, but it's ultimately up to them. And in the past, they have been, well, I think in the 1990s during the Underwood administration, the second Underwood administration was the last time that the Department of Highways took a lot of these, what they call orphan roads, under wing and brought those under the control of the Department of Highways. So, we can certainly cooperate in that respect, but ultimately it's the homeowners or the property owners associations who I think really need to carry the ball on this. And certainly in the Borough Business Park, where we're still own one property, we're part of that, and certainly we'll do everything we can. But I do take it as a good sign that a group of these property owners have retained counsel. And I think that's a very good first step in getting them on the road that they need to be and get this thing approved. As I said at the beginning, I think, basically they're seeking more time, and that would be in the discretion of the Development Authority to, give them more time. I think we've, as it stands, the Development Authority is committed to pay for the mowing through July 1st or June 30th, I should say. And so you have maybe half or a little bit more than a half of a growing season left where mowing would need to be done. So if you would decide to grant them more time, you're only looking at part of a year's obligation to additional to pay for. That's entirely up to the authority.
Do you have a recommended path forward based on your interaction?
Well, I would suggest a couple things. Yes, I would agree with Will that it is good news that they have a lawyer, and they do seem to be coalescing around a group to organize, because they will need counsel to develop their bylaws and develop their rules and regulations and how they're going to conduct managing the Property Owners Association. So I see it as a good development and as a soft letter. But for time, perhaps there is to get through the growing season, if you push that drop dead date back to October 1st instead of July 1st, that would carry us through the mowing season. And, maybe we could have a third round or an effort to sit down at a round table and have a conversation of how we might best help them continue to organize. But other than that, I think maybe a little time would be certainly well appreciated by them.
Yeah, I'd be happy to call for that conversation.
Okay, just let me ask, I know we've deviated from what had been our traditional mowing contract. Do you feel confident you could continue to work that arrangement that we've used for the first half of the season for the second half of the season?
I do. The grass is getting pretty tall out there. I was out last week. But the state road portions, I think they don't get mowed, but early in the season and late in the season. So the other roads that we were controlling, we were mowing them every other week. So probably too much. But yeah, I think we could certainly mow at the same schedule that the state is mowing the other roads.
Okay.
If we were to change the drop dead date to October 1st, what specifically should we say that we need to do? Or is that something the staff can just do?
Can you mind if I chime in on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
It is my opinion, and this is kind of the world that I live in every day, is I would support extending the mowing thing. But I think this ball is going to keep going forever if we don't state that along with this end date of mowing, we're going to dedicate everything at that time. So that the dedication of the common ground to the HOAs is what wipes our hands of this matter. So whenever we're going to end mowing, we ought to dedicate at the same time, and then we're done with this.
Okay. Other thoughts?
My biggest thought is that this isn't a letter asking for an additional 90 days or anything like that. This is a letter that says, please be advised that our clients decline this invitation. So it doesn't sound like they have any intention of moving forward no matter what date we set. And then later it says, I've reviewed the covenants for the parks, and while there is no obligation on the lot owners to contribute to the upkeep of the common areas, there's no requirement for any of the businesses to be managing members. I mean, this isn't a please give us more time letter. This is a thanks letter.
Well, I think it's a big admission that they admitted that they do have an obligation to be a part of the association and to contribute to the upkeep. As far as being involved with the management, no, they have no obligation, but someone's going to have to do it. And it has to be someone who's a member of the association, and that has to be someone who is an owner of property. So, I mean, that's the way with any homeowners association or any organization. You know, someone's going to have to step forward and lead it, and you can't delay indefinitely by saying, no, not me. I'm not willing to do it. And that's why there was a drop dead date initially. They, of course, were not organized at all when we first started this project or this process. But they are getting more organized. And even though the letter does not say, yes, we'll take this on, I do see it as a step in the right direction. And if you want to give a short extension of time to give them more time with the proviso that we are going to convey the common areas to the owners associations at the end of that drop dead date, then I think that would be an appropriate way to move forward.
I'll make a motion. I'll move that we extend the mowing to October 1st, and at such time, we dedicate all common grounds of the respective HOAs to the lot owner associations.
I'll second that.
Lutman moves, Majdi seconds to extend our prior deadline of June 30th to October 1st, with the goal of also at that time transferring common area property ownership to the HOA. Is there any further discussion?
I think that accommodates all the points that have been raised.
Should we address the concession that they asked for about writing a letter to Division of Highways about the orphan roads in this? I mean, I think that's an easy concession that would be a good gesture of goodwill. I just don't know if that's.
Or just authorize staff to work with their attorney and the other property owners to facilitate the requests and do what we can to make this happen.
Should be happy to help.
That's a great point. Thank you.
How many businesses are out there in the 3 parks? Do we know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I would estimate in the 60s, maybe.
Because this looks like it's 4 businesses.
That's right.
And, voting rights then get weird because some of them are structured like for every 5 acres, you have one vote. But some parcels are bigger than 5 acres. So, and some of those names, I know they own multiple lots,
Right. and it
large lots,
says,
et cetera.
And it's affiliates and it's affiliates and affiliates. That's
Yeah.
why I counted only 5.
Yeah, I suspect that represents more than 5 votes,
Mhm.
but I don't read that to see that there's a majority there by any stretch of the property owners. Right, so we've got a motion on the floor. We've got a second. We extend our prior deadline of June 30th to October 1st with the goal of transferring property, the common area property to the Property Owners Association at that same time, and to authorize our staff, legal counsel to work with these partners and groups to accommodate this. There's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. All right. Item C on old business, Summit Point Water and Sewer, approval and signature of USDA grant resolution and supporting documents, authorized director to execute and submit. Staff.
Yes, as you know, there's an effort to extend water and sewer to the Summit Point area. And we've had some good conversations about how to best do that. But one of the first items of business is a initial preliminary engineering report to decide what would need done in order to extend or expand water and sewer to that area. So rather than spend the money out of county reserves or JCDA funds, this is a grant application for a USDA grant and use those dollars, $75,000 for preliminary engineering and analysis and design work. So what I was asking of the JCDA was a motion to submit the grant for $75,000 for preliminary engineering and analysis design work for water and sewer extension expansion to the Summit Point area of Jefferson County, and to authorize staff, the president and the secretary to complete the application documents as required. So it's that simple, but what's before you, Mr. President, is the grant application.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah, I think applying for a grant is a no-brainer. That's something we should absolutely do. We certainly heard from the public, and I know it's been a topic of conversation around the county about who should move forward with this project. Should it be JCDA with a public-private partnership with West Virginia American Water? Should it be CTUB, et cetera? I know CTUB's had a couple of meetings which they've deliberated on this. And I think the records show sometimes they're saying yes, sometimes they're saying no. I'm not quite sure where that stands right now. I know there was a relevant vote last night. I'd love to learn more about that and see where that stands. But as far as applying for the grant, I think we should do that and keep the door open. And then we can, I would be happy to initiate a conversation with Charlestown or the utility board to see where they stand if they're interested in pursuing the project. Speaking for myself, I think CTUB would be the right partner, and I hope they move forward with this. I don't know the specifics. I'd love to hear the specifics from the utility board or from the council. I don't speak for Commissioner Mood, but he's made comments on the record on radio interviews saying some similar sentiment. So there's 2 county commissioners who think that would be the right way to go. And I'll just reiterate, I'd be happy to convene a conversation to see where Charlestown is and if they're interested in pursuing this, because that would be terrific. But as far as keeping the door open and following the next step to apply for a grant, I think that's a no-brainer.
Do we believe the grant is transferable? Let's say we would get awarded the grant. Do we believe it would be transferable to another governmental entity should something materialize otherwise?
I don't believe so, but I think the work that the grant is going to fund is good work that could be used no matter how you decide to build out the infrastructure. So that is to say, the grant, if it is a design for a preliminary engineering design, I think they would have to assume whoever our utility provider that we put in the grant was, they would have to design it maybe in those standards or in that fashion. I don't know.
Sure.
But certainly, at the end of the day, I would hope to have a preliminary engineering report and analysis that is a good tool, even if you decided to change the utility provider or only do the sewer or only do the water. I think you would have options and flexibility down the road, Mr. President.
McIntyre.
Does the grant make us delegate that we're doing the study for American Water? Do we have to disclose or say delegate to that at all?
Well, I had a meeting last week with the grants writer for the Jefferson County Commission, and I believe that had to be included in the grant application was who the utility provider would be. So all that is to say, yes, I believe you have to identify your utility provider.
So the JCDA would be getting a grant to support the investigation of whether or not this is feasible for American Water. Are we the grant holder?
Yes.
Are we getting?
Yeah.
So we are taking the money on behalf of delegating the information that comes out of the grant to American Water.
No, this is to procure an engineer to do an engineering analysis and assessment.
Correct, but that goes to American Water.
It does not go to America.
I think it goes to
Okay.
whoever our partner is.
Which is American Water.
No, it would be a
Well,
third-party engineer, correct?
Yeah, I believe.
Pay the study.
Right.
So if I understand correctly, the study is to help determine the best type of water and sewer system. And then that study could be shared with any utility provider, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Mr. President, may I ask Director Coles, the $75,000, does that cover the entire cost of the engineering?
Well, we haven't done an RFP or gotten a price from an engineer, but from my, rule of thumb, I believe it would more than cover.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Mr. President.
And at the same time, we believe American Water is currently working on some feasibility work of their own at the Summit Point site. Is that correct?
They are, and I think they provided some financial information at one time before I came on board, but yes, and there is a public-private partnership discussion that's ongoing with our council who's putting together a PPP between JCDA and American Water, at least a draft copy to bring back to you guys for consideration.
And we are on record as of the February meeting of authorizing that and instructing staff to proceed accordingly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
And this is a different grant than what CTUB was telling us that we had at one point. Is that correct?
That initial funding source from the state, yes, I believe this is different and unique from that.
Okay, but in the verbiage of the grant that we're authorizing to be written, it states in there American Water. Is that correct? Because I understand that there are two different types of water service. And so I'm not sure engineering it for one would work for the engineering of the other. Is that, I don't know enough about the water, but
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
if we do a grant for the engineering study for American Water, who's pumping it from wherever, I assume that's different than the study that CTUB would need to bring the water from Charlestown or wherever they're bringing it from to Summit Point. It's kind of like two different, an apple and an orange. Is that it's not just water. It's two different
Supplies.
ways of getting it there. And so I'm not sure if they can engineer it, if we get this grant and they're engineering it for the American Water's plan to bring water there, I don't know if it would be transferable or usable by CTUB to get water there because they would be coming from two different ways. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's an engineering assumption as to who the provider would be, what their resources are, how they would get from the raw water supply. Those are all questions I wouldn't know the answer to. the engineer will have to make some assumptions and design a standard to do that. But I think it would matter as to when you change your mind or decide who your utility provider will be. In the grant application, I think it's assumed that you will identify your utility provider for sewer and your utility provider for water. Now, if there's a change down the road, before we're awarded the grant, before the grant comes to us, whenever we write the RFP to go out and procure an engineer to design for us a preliminary engineering design and analysis, I think we get to say what the standards are that we want and when we procure those services from a third-party engineer. So, but you're not, I mean, your point is well taken that it could be designed with assumptions in one way that is not all that transferable or applicable in another way if there are substantial differences in design capabilities of two different water providers.
Is it possible, it sounds like the county commission may be supporting CTUB at this point. Is it possible to write the grant with CTUB being listed and then, Commissioner Maji could talk to CTUB, see if they're still willing to work with Summit Point and then move forward from there? I mean, I think CTUB is the ideal candidate. If they can't do it, then American Water is the backup.
Well, the grant deadline is the 30th of this month. So I don't think you need to decide those things to apply for the grant.
But that's what I'm saying is on the grant application could
It
instead
says name a utility.
the verbiage of CTUB or instead of the verbiage of American Water, can we either make it generic or can we name CTUB in there as the provider in hopes that they will provide it?
Just in hopes that they'll provide, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's in hopes that American Water will provide it because they still haven't done their feasibility study yet. So there's no guarantee that either one will provide water.
Well, we're drafting a public-private partnership with American Water.
Yeah.
I think there's already been one feasibility study prepared that indicated that the city of Charlestown was capable of providing water and sewer utility service to Summit Point. So I think that's already in the can. But we, as far as acting on that, I don't know where they are. And that's why we're where we are proceeding with West Virginia American Water.
I just got a note from the grants writer. She says we don't need to completely choose in the application who the water provider will be. I think it asks for maybe the list, but she says we don't need to have that in there, not required.
And
But it could still apply for the grant.
We could apply for the grant, right?
And not have a name.
Yes, so we can leave it open-ended is what she's saying, I believe.
And to clarify, the grant would be to then put out an RFP for a third-party engineer. And within that third-party engineer, we could make it all encompassing on the two different types of water? Or would it be very specific to one type?
Yeah, I think you could draft the RFP in whatever manner you wished.
Yeah, I think we need to keep the door open. And that's what I'm hearing. Let's not close the door on any entity that we could work with in the future.
Sure, I don't disagree with that. I
Right.
do think it's important. Again, we're on record from February. We've got, we hired at our last meeting, we authorized some legal counsel help to help draft an agreement, and we're on record with supporting a partnership with American Water. If we are going to change that, I think we should get on the record and change that and shouldn't submit one application that says one thing and have a couple other things going over here. I mean, at some point, we do have to decide which way we're going here. And I don't think we should have conflicting messages in our record.
Also have new commissioners too. Are they up to date and do they kind of know what's going on?
Well, I don't want to put them on the spot, but here we are.
But I think they should be well informed as well before they vote.
Other thoughts?
If this is not a commitment, I mean, this is just a feasibility study, correct? For the money I don't know that this is the entire decision wrapped up
I
in the
agree.
grant application.
Right.
Um,
If that is the understanding, yes, that's the correct understanding.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I may be coming at it from a different angle, maybe beneficial or not, but as part of us bringing utilities and expanding those utilities to the county, I see this as an opportunity to kind of get more information and understanding, particularly from an engineering study. And I'm not an engineer, but in my sidebar conversations with at least 6 other citizens who were in the know, there is a lot of misinformation relative to the cost of infrastructure, to the ability to get bonding for such infrastructure. Coming from a financial background, an underwriter is going to want to understand the cash flow, which means that then the ratepayers are going to pay something. So I see this as a good element of due diligence because it's factual information that can inform us, but can inform the wider body with whom we work.
And one more question. We heard a lot of public comment, certainly some of the written comments got to the point of the quality of the notice of this agenda item. This is for you, Mr. Rohrbaugh. Do you think our notice was adequate and sufficient to meet the legal thresholds?
I believe it is.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve a signature for the USDA grant resolution and supporting documents and authorize the director to execute and submit. Did I state that properly?
I think you
Does that
did.
sound about right?
Yes, sir. There are parts where the president, secretary, and executive director need to sign portions of the application, but if you could add all 3 of those to the,
All right, Mr. Majdi moves to authorize approval and signature of the USDA grant resolution and supporting documents and authorize the director and other leadership of the Development Authority to sign the documentation as required. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is it possible for the motion
Yes.
to mention that it will not name one utility company?
So Ms. Moss seconds. Are you okay with that change to your motion?
Can I ask a question? Based on what you heard from grant writing staff, that should work just fine, right?
yes, I think she believes it could be agnostic for whichever, utility provider you want.
Great, that works for me. And thanks for the assist, because that's my position.
Okay, and you're okay with that as part of your second? Thank you, Ms. Moss. Okay, so the question before us, Mr. Majdi has moved, Ms. Moss has seconded. Approval and signature of USDA grant resolution authorizing that and its supporting documents authorizing the director and other leadership of the Development Authority to execute and submit as necessary. And the submission will not name the preferred utility provider, but will be neutral. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Just a suggestion in the
Good.
future, just to put application. I think application would have allayed any fears rather than approving the grant.
Very good, very good.
Is there a dollar amount?
Is there a dollar amount? Next question.
75.
Yes, we were settled on $75,000.
Yeah.
But it's a flexible number. And there are strategic reasons why the grant writer suggested that. You lose points or gain points depending on how much money you would be able to add to it. Is it over 100,000? So for strategic reasons, I think we settled on $75,000, Mr. President.
And just to clarify, that's what we're requesting. We're not paying 75.
That's what we're
So-
requesting. That's right.
Okay.
All right, other questions? All right, everybody understands what we're voting on? All those
Yes.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next is new business item, or new business, item 8 on our agenda, Part A, election of officers. So our bylaws require that each June we elect all 3 or 4 of our officers. 3 or 4 because you can have a separate secretary and treasurer, or you can combine those positions into a singular position. When we were constituted last August, we elected at that point to elect a treasurer, secretary, and Mr. Goodrich. Currently, I serve as the chairman, president. Dan Casto served as our vice chairman. He is no longer on our board, and Mr. Goodrich serves as our secretary treasurer. So at this point, staff, do you have anything to add before we go into nominations?
No, sir.
May I ask questions?
Sir.
Secretary treasurer role, do you think that worked? Or do we need to make an adjustment? Sometimes it's split up, sometimes it's combined.
No, it worked, but I'm also open to rotate it. So I don't have any particular proprietary, I hope I did a good job and I'm giving the information you need, but it does work okay.
Okay.
All right. So at this time, we'll open nominations for the role of president.
Mr. Chair, I'll nominate Mr. Wilt to be president again.
Second.
Todd Wilt is nominated as president. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Nominations are now closed. Since I'm the only name selected, is there any objection?
I had a big speech. I was ready to go. I'll just say really quickly, I thought you've done a terrific job as chairman. Thank you very much for leading us through this. We had a new board. We've got some new members. We're on the right track. Look at the business we accomplished today. We're doing a great job, and thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well said.
There's no objection. Then I'll declare Todd Wilt as the chairman by acclamation. Next, we'll go to the vice president. Again, Dan Casto held that position. He's no longer on our board. Are there any nominations for vice president?
I'll nominate Tyler Tumalo.
Second.
Tumalo has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? Other nominations? Nominations are now closed.
I had a speech again. Tyler, you did a terrific job on this board. Thanks for volunteering, and I think you'd be terrific in this role. So just thank you again, and thanks for stepping up.
Thank you.
Any objections to Tyler Tumalo as vice president? Seeing none, we'll declare by acclamation, Tyler, you are vice chairman. And finally, our secretary / treasurer role. Are there any nominations?
I'll second.
Even Goodrich has been nominated. Are there other nominations? We'll declare nominations closed.
What's your third speech?
Yeah.
Man, I
really wanted to hear.
I was ready to go. Thank you very much for leading us through this past year. I mean, I remember the first treasurer's report, we were all kind of like, oh, where's this going to go? And we brought in a professional who has deep experience here, and you've helped us right the ship and look at the progress we've made over 1 year. So thank you for volunteering
Thank you, and
again.
thanks for the fellow board members. Really appreciate your support.
Good. Is there any objection to Mr. Goodrich as our secretary treasurer? Seeing none, we'll declare by acclamation, Mr. Goodrich, you are our secretary treasurer. All right, with that, we're ready to move to item B under new business, Blue Ridge Technical College Federal Aviation Administration Letter of Support. Ms. Moss.
And I will recuse myself for this vote
Thank you.
and discussion.
Give Ms. Moss just a second to excuse herself.
You the chair.
Tell you you have to, but you're not directly employed by that.
Right, okay, so.
All right, Ms. Moss has seen herself out to recuse herself. So with that, I'll turn it to staff.
Yes, thank you. You have in your packet a draft of a letter, and it is a workforce infrastructure and expanding project, training access and stronger career pathways, but it's from Blue Ridge Community and Technical College, and it's an FAA Aviation Maintenance Technician Workers Workforce Development Grant Program that they're trying to start at Blue Ridge, or expand at least at Blue Ridge. And they've asked for our support, and I've drafted this letter supporting their program and application for your consideration, Mr. President.
All right, we've heard the report. Members had time to review the letter. Offer any thoughts? or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the letter to Blue Ridge Technical College.
Second.
Mr. Tumalo moves, Mr. Goodrich seconds to approve the letter as presented in support of this program at Blue Ridge Technical College. Is there any discussion?
I'll just comment really quickly. I know this is an expanding industry / workforce development area across the state of West Virginia. We're getting in the game in the right way with this letter. I think this is a smart move, and I'm glad that we're partnering with Blue Ridge Community Technical College. This is exactly what we should be doing. This is terrific.
Other member comments?
I also agree. Blue Ridge would be a great partner for this.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. I think Lynn is
She's grabbing her.
lost. All right, welcome back, Ms. Moss. And that takes us to item 9, the director's report.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
President.
yes,
There
sir.
is in your packet, a meeting or two ago, this board authorized me to draft a letter in support of Jefferson County's application for Opportunity Zones 2.0. That draft is in your packet. I don't need any action on that today, but I wanted to share that with you. I was instructed to do that a meeting or two ago, and that's the byproduct. It is going to be joined with a letter from the Jefferson County Commission and a letter from the Region 9 Planning and Development Council, all in support of the application of Opportunity 2.0 for several census tracts in Jefferson County. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I have a written report that I could go through pretty quickly, but if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. The big things on the report this time is the West Virginia site grants that we've already talked about. The LED grant from before has come in. It was $30,000, $800. It was received and deposited in the bank. Opportunity Zones, Summit Point Water and Sewer, the Eastern West Virginia Economic Alliance, which, as you may know, is Jefferson, Berkeley, Morgan, and Hampshire counties collaborating together on a regional effort to attract businesses from the DC metro area and other areas across the country to the Eastern Panhandle. And I'm an active part of that group, and that seems to be going quite well. As you may know, I've been appointed to the CVB, the Jefferson County Convention Visitors Bureau, which is an active, good group. I've also been appointed to the Farmland Protection Board as the director of JCDA. And the Region 9 Planning and Development Council, I was appointed to that board by the County Commission at their last meeting. Also appointed to the Agritourism Task Force. That's listed there. The first inaugural initial meeting of the Agritourism Task Force, the new Agritourism Task Force meeting, is coming up next Monday. And it may be that this office will become the secretary treasurer of that organization. It seems to make sense because we could house all the records but we'll know after next week. And that's generally the meeting. There is the last note, the Blue Ridge Community and Technical College. I think it was an item of business for you guys before, but there are 2 coffee carts in the lobby of this grand new building that we're in that I think we're going to have one of the chefs from Blue Ridge come down and talk to a small group of us about how they could envision using those coffee carts to serve their culinary program or citizens or interns, or some way just to brainstorm about how we could utilize Blue Ridge and how they might utilize those carts to serve Jefferson County and workforce training and customer service skills here at the commission building. So, but that's generally all I have. A couple notes, if I could, Mr. President. There are, the working group will have that on your next agenda. And, but Ashley Gutierrez is the new clerk for the Jefferson County's Economic Development Office. But in my conversations with your county administrator, it's important that the Jefferson County Development Authority also appoint Ashley as the clerk for the Jefferson County Development Authority. It allows me in the office to speak more freely with non-disclosure agreements in her role and my role as also being concurrently your director of Jefferson County's Development Authority. If she were to also be your clerk for the Jefferson County Development Authority, I think it would shield us or help us do some of our work independently with prospects and items that are of sensitive nature for businesses as they go through their process to pick Jefferson County and locate here. So that'll also be on your list for the next meeting, as well as your vice president change. So we have a lot of papers to sign for the 5 business checking accounts and banking accounts. But I think in a month or two, we may need to add your vice president also to the bank signature cards. So that may be another item of business that's coming up in the next meeting too. But other than that, Mr. President, my written report is in there and be happy to take any questions or emails as you guys go through that.
Thank you. Let me say welcome, Ashley. I think you were 2 days in when we had our strategic planning meeting. So I hope you've settled a little more and look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Other questions for the director, comments?
Just a question. I found our strategic planning session incredibly insightful and valuable, a good use of time. Any update as to when they may be completing kind of the first draft of our output?
No, I did have a conversation with them, and when we had our planning meeting, and I was probably a little pushy to say, hey, our JCDA meeting this month is really early. It's the 16th and we're already here. If you could get me something that I could put in there to update the members of where we were, and they were on that track. And then, he said, we should probably slow down a little bit. This was an 8-month process before. So let's not rush it and try to get it here in 10 or 12 days. So it's probably an update coming soon.
Okay.
We did not get anything prepared for this meeting, but I think it was just a calendar timing thing, really. So
Thank you.
but I will pass along your comments about the event.
I'm hearing that when it comes to agritourism, the wineries and the tourism industry in Loudoun County is feeling uncomfortable, and they might be looking to expand outside of Loudoun County, and they're interested in talking to us. So in terms of recruiting businesses here and the type of businesses that our citizens really want to see for recreation, tourism, and small mom and pops and entertainment, that could be an interesting development. Would love to see how that plays out. And I'm looking forward to that first meeting of the agritourism task force.
All right. All right. With no other business, we'll declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you're in charge of all vice.